The blue skin of Zoralia shimmered under the twin moons of her homeworld Nexus 4, as she prepared for the most important mission of her life. She adjusted her translator one last time, and looked at her reflection in the metallic surface of her spacecraft. Her tall, slender frame towered over most beings in the galaxy, but she knew humans were different. Humans were dangerous according to Nexian intelligence reports. They were unpredictable, resourceful, and somehow managed to defeat 3 advanced civilizations despite their primitive technology. But Zoralia had studied them secretly for years and had come to a different conclusion. They were passionate, protective, and possessed something her people had lost millennia ago: emotion. Her mission was simple: observe human behavior on their colony world New Dakota. But her personal mission was far more complex. She wanted to understand them, to know if the legends were true that humans could form deep bonds beyond logical necessity. Ship landed silently on the outskirts of New Hope. The main settlement on the planet Zoralia activated her cloaking device and moved toward the small community of dome structures and prefabricated buildings. The gravity was slightly stronger than she was used to, but her enhanced physiology adjusted quickly. She spotted a human female working alone at the edge of the settlement, tending to strange plants. This was her chance to make first contact with minimal risk. The human looked up as Zoralia deactivated her cloak. Her eyes grew wide, but surprisingly she did not run or scream. Kate Mason had seen many strange things since joining the colonial effort, but nothing like the tall blue woman standing before her. She slowly set down her gardening tools and stood up. "What are you?" she asked, her voice steady. Despite her racing heart, Zoralia activated her translator and spoke carefully. "I am Zoralia from Nexus 4. I come to learn about humans." Kate nodded, as if aliens appearing in her garden was a perfectly normal occurrence. "I see. And why my garden specifically?" Zoralia tilted her head. The human was surprisingly calm. "Your settlement is small, less chance of causing panic. I mean, no harm." Kate laughed, a sound that made Zoralia's dual hearts beat faster. "Well, you picked a good time. The rest of the colony is at the monthly meeting. I skipped it because these tomatoes won't plant themselves." Want to help. Before she knew it, Zoralia was kneeling in the soil learning about tomatoes and peppers, and something called zucchini that apparently grew too abundantly. Kate spoke freely, telling stories of Earth and why she had traveled so far to start a new life. "You came alone?" Zoralia asked, surprised that humans would travel without their clan units. Kate nodded. "Sometimes you need to leave everything behind to find yourself," she said softly. "And you? Did you come alone?" Zoralia hesitated. Her species never revealed weaknesses or personal details to outsiders, but something about this human made her want to share. "Yes, against the wishes of my matriarch. I believe there is much to learn from humans. My people, they fear what they do not understand." As they worked in the garden together, Kate explained more about human culture. Zoralia was fascinated by the concept of choice. Nexians followed a strict caste system determined at birth. Humans seemed to make decisions based on emotional factors as much as logical ones. "So you chose to be a plant tender?" Zoralia asked, studying the strange earth vegetables. Kate smiled. "No, I was a communication specialist on Earth, but here I can be whatever I want. The plants are just a hobby. I actually run the colony." Communications hub. Zoralia was even more intrigued. A specialist changing roles by choice. Such flexibility would be considered dangerous on Nexus 4A's the second moon rose. Kate invited Zoralia to her dwelling. It was small by Nexian standards, but filled with colorful items and soft fabrics that Zoralia found herself wanting. "To touch, this is what we call home," Kate said, gesturing to the space. "Not just shelter, but a place that reflects who you are." Zoralia looked around at the photographs, strange decorative items and books, actual physical books with paper pages. Something tightened in her chest. What if someone entered and learned all these personal details about you? Kate shrugged. That's kind of the point. When friends visit, they see who you are. What are homes like? On your world, cold, Zoralia answered immediately then, felt embarrassed by her honesty. Efficient, designed for maximum productivity and minimal distraction. They talked late into the night. Kate explained concepts like friendship, privacy, and personal expression. Zoralia shared details about Nexian society, their technological achievements, and their strict hierarchical structure. I should go, Zoralia finally said. The settlement will be active soon. Before you do, Kate reached into a drawer and pulled out a small device. Here, this is an old communicator. It works on a frequency your people probably don't monitor. If you want to talk again, Zoralia accepted the device, feeling a strange warmth spread through her chest. Thank you, I would like to speak more. For the next several days. Zoralia observed the human settlement from afar. She watched families interact, children playing, workers collaborating. She recorded everything for her mission report, but found herself focusing on behaviors her superiors would find irrelevant. The way humans touched, casually during conversation, their frequent vocalizations of amusement, the seemingly inefficient time they spent in recreational activities. Each night she communicated with Kate, learning more about human emotions and sharing carefully selected information about her own species. Kate never pressed when Zoralia hesitated, and freely answered questions that Nexians would consider highly personal. On the fifth night, Kate invited Zoralia to witness something special. A celebration she called it. The colonists had gathered in the central area of the settlement with music, food, and something Kate called dancing. Stay cloaked, Kate advised. But watch. This is humanity. At its best. Zoralia observed from the shadows as humans moved their bodies, in synchronization to sound patterns. They consumed food together, shared stories, and seemed to take pleasure in simply being in proximity to one another. Children ran freely between adults, everyone seeming to share responsibility for them. It was chaotic, unstructured, and strangely beautiful. When Kate joined the dancing, Zoralia felt an unfamiliar sensation watching her move gracefully among her people. She recognized it from her research, longing, a dangerous emotion her people had engineered out of their genetics centuries ago, yet here it was. After the celebration, Kate met Zoralia at the edge of the settlement, her face flushed with exertion and happiness. What did you think? Zoralia struggled to find words. Inefficient, illogical, but fascinating. Why expend such energy for no productive purpose? Kate smiled softly, touching Zoralia's arm. The purpose is connection, joy. Reminding ourselves that we're alive, that we're together. Those things matter to us. That night, as Zoralia returned to her ship, she realized her mission was compromised. She had been sent to observe humans objectively to confirm they were too dangerous and unpredictable to join the Galactic Concord. But instead, she found herself drawn to them, fascinated, not just by Kate, but by all of them, their emotional complexity, their adaptability, their capacity for connection. She began her report, then deleted it, and started again, 3 times. How could she explain what she had witnessed? The strength in what her people considered Turika's weakness. The order within what appeared to be chaos. Signal from her ship alerted her to an incoming transmission. Her heart sank as she recognized the encryption pattern. The matriarch was contacting her directly. Zoralia designation Science Observer, 7329. The cold voice stated. We have detected unauthorized proximity to human settlements, explained. Zoralia straightened her posture automatically. I am gathering data as instructed. Matriarch, close observation has yielded unexpected insights. There was a pause. Your neural patterns show irregularity, possible contamination by human thought patterns. You are ordered to return immediately for purification and debriefing. A replacement observer will continue your work. Zoralia felt panic rise in her chest. Something that had not happened since early childhood. No, I require additional time to complete my assessment. The matriarch's tone hardened. This is not a request. Extraction team dispatched arrival in 2 planetary cycles. Prepare for departure. The transmission ended, leaving Zoralia in silence. She looked toward the human settlement in the distance. 2 days until they came for her. Until they sent observers who would see only the danger in humanity, not the wonder. She made her decision quickly, gathering only essential items and activating the ship's self-destruct sequence. She had 18 hours before it would complete the countdown, erasing all evidence of her presence and research. There would be no going back to Nexus 4, but perhaps she could save these humans from what was coming. She needed to warn Kate. Kate was monitoring the communications array when Zoralia appeared at the doorway of the small control room. Her blue skin seemed paler than usual, and her typically calm demeanor was visibly shaken. Kate immediately stood up. "You look troubled. What happened?" Zoralia glanced around the room, nervous about potential listening devices. "I need to speak with you somewhere private." "It's urgent." They walked quickly to Kate's dwelling. Neither spoke until the door was securely closed. Kate turned to face the alien woman. "Tell me." "My people are coming," Zoralia said, her voice barely above a whisper. "An extraction team will arrive in 2 planetary cycles. They will take me back for neural purification." Kate frowned. "Neural purification? They will erase my experiences here, any emotional responses I have developed?" Zoralia explained. "They believe I have been contaminated by human thought patterns, and they will send new observers, ones who will see only threats, not possibilities." Kate sat down slowly, processing this information. "And after they observe us," Zoralia hesitated, then decided. Kate deserved the full truth. If they determine humans are as dangerous as they suspect, they will implement quarantine protocols. All human worlds will be isolated, prevented from further space exploration. Any human vessels found outside the quarantine zone will be neutralized. Kate looked up sharply. "Neutralized? You mean destroyed?" Zoralia nodded. "And you came to warn me." Kate said softly, "Why not just escape somewhere? Surely there are places in the galaxy even your people can't find you." Zoralia moved closer. "I could not leave without warning you. And I realized something important that I needed to tell you. Humans are not what my people think. You are emotional. Yes, unpredictable certainly. But those qualities make you stronger, not weaker. I have learned more in my time here than in centuries on Nexus 4. You see possibilities where we see only risks. You create connections where we maintain distance." Kate reached out, taking Zoralia's hand. "I need to tell the colony leadership. We need to prepare." "No," Zoralia said quickly, pulling back. "You don't understand. If the matriarchy detects unusual activity, military preparations, they will consider it confirmation that humans are dangerous. The extraction team will become an assault force. Your colony has no defenses that would be effective against Nexian technology." "Then what do we do?" Kate asked. "I destroyed my ship," Zoralia said. "All my research, my communications. It will leave no trace when the countdown completes, but the extraction team will still come. They will scan for me for Nexian life signs. When they can't find me, they will investigate." Kate thought for a moment. "How many in an extraction team?" "Usually 4. Zoralia answered. "And they come expecting one unarmed scientist, not a military situation." "Correct." Kate smiled, a determined expression that Zoralia was beginning to recognize as uniquely human. "Then we have an advantage. They won't expect resistance. We need to capture them, not fight them." Zoralia was shocked. "Capture 4 elite Nexian operatives? It cannot be done. They are enhanced warriors with neural links and adaptive armor." Kate stood up, pacing the small room. "I run the communications array. I can detect their approach, pinpoint their landing. I know every colonist here and what they're capable of. We have engineers, farmers, former military. We are not helpless. And we have you. You know their protocols, their technology, their weaknesses are maar." The first time Zoralia considered the possibility, they were not without options. But any plan would require deception, and Nexians were trained to detect lies, especially from one of their own. It would mean betraying my people. Zoralia said softly. Kate stopped pacing and faced her. "Your people sent you to help justify our isolation, possibly our destruction. Where does your loyalty belong, Zoralia? To a society that wants to erase your experiences, or to the truth you discovered here?" Zoralia was silent, considering the question. Nexians prized loyalty to the collective above all. But her time with humans had shown her something different. Loyalty earned through connection, not demanded through obligation. "I will help you." Zeralia finally said. But you must understand what this means. I can never return home. I will be labeled a traitor. The penalty is memory extraction and reprogramming. Kate touched Zeralia's face gently, her fingers warm against the blue skin. We will find you a new home. Herewith. As they worked through the night, Kate called in select colonists, people she trusted absolutely. A former tactical officer, 2 security specialists, an engineer, and a doctor. Zeralia was nervous meeting them, but each human greeted her with the same openness Kate had shown. They devised a plan. Zeralia would appear to be injured, allowing the extraction team to locate her. When they approached, they would trigger carefully concealed stun fields designed by the engineer based on Zeralia's knowledge of Nexian physiology. Once incapacitated, they would be contained and their ship secured. The hardest part would be maintaining the deception. Nexians could detect elevated stress hormones, sense changes in body temperature, pick up micro-expressions that revealed deception. Zeralia would need to believe her injury was real. The doctor suggested a controlled nerve block that would create genuine pain signals without causing permanent damage. Zeralia agreed despite her fear, while the others prepared. The trapped Zeralia shared everything she knew about Nexian technology capabilities and protocols. Kate recorded it all, knowing this information might be crucial for humanity's future. The night before the extraction team was due to arrive, Kate and Zeralia sat together on the roof of Kate's dwelling, looking up at the stars. Do you regret coming here? Zeralia asked. Kate shook her head. No, not for a moment. If you hadn't come, if you hadn't warned us, we would never have known what was coming. We would have continued exploring the stars, walking right into your people's quarantine. It might have led to war or to our extinction. You changed. That Zeralia looked at the human woman illuminated by starlight. What will happen after? If we succeed? Kate took her hand. I don't know exactly, but I know humanity will not accept isolation. We are explorers by nature. Once we know what's out there, we can't go back to pretending we're alone. The fact that your people exist, that other civilizations exist, that changes everything for us. Zeralia felt that strange warmth in her chest again. If we capture the extraction team, they will have knowledge, valuable intelligence about the matriarchy. Kate nodded. That's part of the plan, but we're not torturers. Zeralia, we won't harm them. Zeralia was shocked by the suggestion. I did not think you would. The matriarchy taught us that humans are violent and cruel, but I have seen no evidence of that. Kate smiled sadly. All species are capable of both cruelty and kindness, including humans. But we try to be better than our worst instincts. That's part of what makes us human. They fell silent, watching the stars, tracking the paths of the moons across the sky. Tomorrow would change everything for both of them. Either they would succeed in capturing the extraction team, opening possibilities for negotiation with the matriarchy, or they would fail, and this small colony might be the first casualty in a conflict that could engulf all of humanity. I'm afraid. Zeralia admitted the words, feeling strange on her tongue. Nexians were not supposed to acknowledge fear. Kate squeezed her hand. Me too. But sometimes being afraid and doing something anyway, that's courage. My grandmother told me that. Courage. Zeralia repeated the word. The concept existed in Nexian culture, but it was framed as duty, not choice. The idea that one could acknowledge fear and still choose action that was new. Before dawn, they took their positions. Zeralia lay in a small clearing, her leg immobilized with the nerve block, creating genuine pain signals. The doctor had created a convincing injury. Artificial blue blood pooled beneath her. Nexian extraction teams were trained to recover their targets, not eliminate them. If a scientist was injured, they would stabilize and transport. Kate and the others concealed themselves nearby, monitoring equipment detecting the approach of the Nexian vessel. It was small, designed for stealth and speed, exactly as Zeralia had described. It's entering the atmosphere, Kate whispered, through their communication link. Remember everyone, no weapons unless absolutely necessary. We want to take them alive and undamaged. Zeralia felt the pain in her leg intensify as the medication took full effect. She let herself experience it fully, Knowing the extraction team would be scanning for artificial readings, her fear was real too. Fear of failure. Fear of what would happen if her deception was discovered. The Nexian ship landed silently just beyond the tree line, exactly where they had predicted. 4 tall figures emerged, their armor shifting color to match the surrounding vegetation. They moved with perfect coordination, communication flowing through their neural links. Zoralia caught her breath. The leader wore the insignia of the elite guard. They had sent their best, which meant the matriarchy considered this mission high priority. The team approached cautiously, scanning the area. They would detect no other Nexian life signs thanks to the shielding technology the engineer had created based on Zoralia's specifications. They would find only her lying injured exactly where a fleeing scientist might collapse. The leader knelt beside her. Zoralia, designation Science Observer. 7329. You are ordered to return for extraction. What is the nature of your injury? Zoralia looked up at the familiar faceless helmet. I fell. The gravity. The ship's destruction. I had no choice. The leader gestured, and another team member began scanning her vital signs. Readings consistent with trauma. Recommendation: immediate stabilization and transport now. Kate whispered into the communication link. The trap was sprung. The engineered stun field activated with a low hum. The 4 Nexian soldiers froze, their armor systems temporarily disabled by the precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulse Kate had designed, based on Zoralia's knowledge. The security team moved, quickly securing the paralyzed extraction team with specialized restraints. Zoralia struggled to her feet despite the pain in her leg. These will not hold them long, she warned. The armor has adaptive systems. The engineer stepped forward, placing small devices on each suit of armor. These will maintain the disruption frequency. Even if their suits adapt, these will readjust. They transported the captured Nexians to a secure facility beneath the communication center. Kate had explained this underground bunker was standard for frontier colonies, protection against storms and other natural disasters. Now it would serve as a detention center. The doctor administered sedatives, keeping the Nexians unconscious while they were secured in separate cells. The leader was placed in a special containment area with additional security measures. Zoralia had emphasized that elite guards had enhanced abilities beyond standard soldiers. When the preparations were complete, Kate called an emergency meeting of the colony leadership. The small council chamber filled quickly as word spread about the alien visitors. Many colonists stared at Zoralia with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She stood beside Kate, feeling strangely protective of the human. Kate explained the situation clearly and directly. The Nexian matriarchy, a highly advanced civilization, has been observing humanity. They consider us dangerous, unpredictable. They plan to quarantine all human worlds, limiting our expansion. Zoralia came to warn us. She betrayed her people to help us. One of the council members, an older man with gray hair and a stern expression, looked at Zoralia skeptically. Why should we trust you? What do you gain from this betrayal? Zoralia considered the question. For a moment she longed for the simplicity of Nexian interaction. Pure information exchange without emotional complexity. But she had chosen this path. I gain nothing, she answered honestly. My actions are considered treason. I can never return to my people. But I have seen how the matriarchy judges other species. We assume threat from difference. You are different from us, emotional, adaptive, unpredictable. But these qualities are strengths, not weaknesses. I could not allow my people to isolate yours without you knowing the truth. The council member seemed surprised by her candor. What do you suggest we do now? We have 4 of your people captive. Their ship is secured, but surely others will come looking for them. Kate stepped forward. Zoralia has shared critical information about Nexian technology capabilities and their governing structure. We have a narrow window of opportunity. The extraction team was sent quietly without fanfare. The matriarchy doesn't want other species to know about their plans for humanity. It will be at least 15 days before they expect a report. If the team doesn't return, they will send investigators, but they will be equally discreet. And what do we do in those 15 days? Another council member asked. Establish contact, Kate said. We use their ship, their communication protocols to send a message directly to the matriarchy, not as captives but as equals. We offer to release their team unharmed in exchange for diplomatic recognition. Impossible, Zoralia interrupted before she could stop herself. The matriarchy does not negotiate with lesser species. Her heart raced as she realized her mistake. Lesser? Kate asked, one eyebrow raised. Zoralia felt heat rise in her face, a new and uncomfortable sensation. I apologize. That is how my people classify non-Nexian civilizations. I do not share this view, but it is the reality we face. The matriarchy believes they are superior intellectually, evolutionarily. They will not negotiate as equals. The room fell, silent as the humans processed this information. Then we give them no choice. Kate finally said. Her voice was calm, but Zoralia recognized the determination behind it. We have their soldiers, their ship, their technology. We demonstrate that we understand their systems well enough to use them against them. We make it clear that trying to quarantine humanity would be costly, perhaps prohibitively so. One of the security specialists nodded. 4 elite soldiers captured by a small colony with minimal defenses. That sends a message. The engineer raised her hand. We could also suggest mutual benefit. Most conflicts arise from perceived scarcity. What if we offer something the Nexians value, something they can't get elsewhere? Zoralia was surprised by the suggestion. Nexians prided themselves on self-sufficiency. What could humans possibly offer that her people would value? Kate looked at her. What do your people value most? Zoralia. What drives your civilization? Knowledge. Zoralia answered without hesitation. The accumulation and application of knowledge. The matriarchy has existed for thousands of years, maintaining perfect order, perfect efficiency. Emotional stability. Kate smiled slowly. Human unpredictability, creativity, innovation. Our chaos, as you put it, leads to leaps of inspiration. Solutions your people might never consider because they follow logical, progressive steps. We solve problems differently. The council discussed deep into the night. Zoralia listened, fascinated by the human process. It was inefficient by Nexian standards. Speakers interrupted each other, presented emotional arguments, made intuitive leaps without logical foundations. Yet somehow this chaotic exchange generated ideas, solutions, possibilities a Nexian tank would never produce. Finally, they agreed on a plan. They would establish communication with the matriarchy not as supplicants, but as equals. They would demonstrate human ingenuity and resilience. They would offer collaboration while making it clear that attempted quarantine would be met with resistance. What about the prisoners? Kate asked, looking at Zoralia. What will happen to them when they wake? They will attempt escape. Zoralia warned. They are conditioned to complete their mission at any cost. The doctor stepped forward. I can keep them sedated, but not indefinitely. Not without risking harm. Zoralia considered the problem, then had an inspiration. A neural interface, she suggested. The engineer has the equipment from their ship. We could establish communication directly mind to mind. It would be more effective than verbal interrogation. Kate looked alarmed. You mean like mind control? Zoralia shook her head. Communication only. An exchange of information. The interface translates neural patterns. It cannot force compliance, but it can bypass language barriers, create deeper understanding. The council debated this idea. Some arguing it was too invasive, others seeing it as their best option for genuine communication. Finally, they decided to try with one condition. Kate would be the human representative. I should be the one to interface with them. Zoralia protested. They are my people. Kate was firm. You are already considered a traitor. They would resist any connection with you, but I am new unknown. They will be curious. Despite themselves, they will want to understand the human mind. The next morning, they prepared for the interface. The engineer had modified the Nexian equipment following Zoralia's instructions. The doctor monitored both Kate and the still sedated elite guard leader. The security team stood ready in case something went wrong. Zoralia felt a strange tightness in her chest as the neural connectors were placed on Kate's temples. You must maintain emotional distance, she advised. Kate will attempt to provoke emotional response to gain advantage. Kate smiled, touching Zoralia's hand briefly. I know I remember what you told me about Nexian mental discipline. The connection was established. Kate lay still, her eyes closed while the elite guard leader remained sedated on the adjacent bed. Neural patterns synchronized on the monitor, streams of data flowing between their minds. Minutes passed. Zoralia watched anxiously. The interface was working, but what was being exchanged? She could see fluctuations in the data patterns indicating active communication, but the content remained private between Kate and the Nexian leader. After 20 minutes, the doctor signaled to end the connection. The neural links were disengaged. Kate sat up, slowly blinking as her mind readjusted to singular awareness. What happened? Zoralia asked, moving quickly to her side. What did you learn? Kate looked dazed. Her name is Nalia, she whispered. She has served the matriarchy for 300 years. She believes absolutely in their superiority. But she saw things in my mind that confused her. Human connection, human innovation, the way we form bonds, the way we create. She has never experienced anything like it. The elite guard has a name. Zoralia was stunned. Nexian soldiers used only designations. Names were considered unnecessary. Emotional attachments. Kate nodded. She showed me things too. Their civilization, their history. They are ancient, Zoralia. Thousands of years of perfect order, but stagnant. They haven't truly evolved in centuries. They maintain, they preserve, but they no longer create. Their technology, their art, their culture, it all reached a plateau. And now they fear us because we are still evolving. Still changing. Zoralia processed this information. It aligned with doubts she had harbored for decades, thoughts she had never dared express. The matriarchy achieved near perfection, then simply maintained it. Adaptation became unnecessary. Change became threatening. What else? Kate continued. They fear human expansion because your people have a secret. They are dying, Zoralia. Low birth rates, genetic stability that has become stagnation. Each generation is fewer than the last. The matriarchy projects that in another 1,000 years without intervention, Nexians will be extinct. 7 days passed with no response from the Nexian matriarchy. Kate maintained a calm exterior, but Zoralia could sense her growing anxiety. The colony continued its normal operations with increased security patrols. The captured extraction team remained in containment, sedated, but stable. Zoralia spent her time educating selected colonists about Nexian technology, culture, and language. She found the humans quick to learn, eager to understand. Her respect for their adaptive capabilities grew. Daily, Kate focused on preparing defensive contingencies, coordinating with other human colonies through encrypted channels. If the matriarchy rejected their proposal, if they sent warships instead of diplomats, humanity needed to be ready. On the 8th day, as Zoralia was explaining Nexian power systems to a group of engineers, Kate burst into the room, her face flushed with excitement. They responded the matriarchy had sent a terse but significant message. They acknowledged receipt of the human proposal. They did not reject it outright, instead requesting verification of claims, additional data, specific examples of human innovation. More importantly, they agreed to extend the extraction team's mission timeline, allowing for preliminary discussions. It's not acceptance, Zoralia cautioned as they reviewed the message. It is standard procedure to gather intelligence before making decisions. Kate smiled. Even so, they could have dismissed us immediately, sent a battle fleet. They didn't. They want to know more. That's an opening. They prepared a second transmission with examples of human achievements in medicine, technology, art, music. Each innovation paired with potential applications for Nexian society, each example carefully selected to demonstrate creative problem solving without revealing strategic vulnerabilities. Before sending the new data package, Kate had another idea. What about direct communication, she suggested. Interface with another of the extraction team. Share more directly, Zoralia Considered this. The elite guard leader Nalia had already experienced neural interface with Kate. The second in command would be the logical choice, but it carried risks. Nexian soldiers were conditioned to resist manipulation. Who would interface? Zeralia asked. Kate looked at her. Zeralia felt her dual hearts accelerate. I am considered a traitor. They would reject any connection. Kate took her hand. The neural interface bypasses conscious resistance. It connects deeper patterns. Your people better than any of us. You could convey our sincerity, our potential more effectively than I could. Zeralia knew Kate was right. A human could share information, but a Nexian could share understanding, context, cultural significance. The risks were significant, but the potential benefits greater. I will try, she agreed. They selected the second officer, a tactical specialist designated Veneth. According to the ship's records, he was younger than Nalia, only 160 years in service. His neural patterns showed more flexibility than the others. The doctor prepared both Zeralia and Veneth for the interface. The process was familiar to Zeralia, though she had never experienced it herself. Neural interfaces were used in Nexian education and specialized training, but rarely between individuals. The intimacy of the connection was considered unnecessary in most circumstances. As the interface activated, Zeralia felt her consciousness expand. Veneth's mind was ordered, structured as she expected from a tactical officer. But beneath the military discipline, she sensed something unexpected. Curiosity. She shared carefully selected memories. Her time observing humans, their resourcefulness, their emotional connections, their capacity for adaptation. She showed him the colony meeting, the chaotic exchange of ideas that led to innovative solutions. She shared her own journey from dutiful observer to advocate for collaboration. In return, she received his perspective, his certainty in Nexian superiority, his dedication to the matriarchy, but also his private questions, his observation of stagnation in their society, his secret admiration for species that still created new art, new ideas. The connection lasted 30 minutes. When it ended, Zeralia emerged with new understanding. He is conflicted, she told Kate. Many of them are. They serve the matriarchy, absolutely, but they see the decline. They are not permitted to question publicly, but in private, many wonder if isolation is the answer. Kate processed this information. That gives us an advantage, not just with the matriarchy, but with their people. If enough Nexians questioned the policy of isolation, they sent their second transmission, then resumed the waiting. The colony settled into an uneasy routine. Zeralia found herself spending more time with Kate outside of their diplomatic work. They walked together in the evening, explored the surrounding forests. Kate showed her human customs, music, art, literature. Zeralia was particularly fascinated by human fiction. The concept of creating imaginary scenarios for entertainment was foreign to Nexian culture. Information was valued only for its utility. Fiction was considered at best inefficient, at worst deceptive. Kate introduced her to stories about first contact between different species. Some portrayed conflict, others cooperation. Zeralia was surprised by how accurately some human authors had imagined the challenges of communication between fundamentally different minds. You create possibilities. Kate explained when Zeralia questioned the purpose. Fiction helps us imagine what might be before we encounter it. That makes us more adaptable when we face the unknown. On the 12th day, the matriarch's response arrived. The message was longer, more detailed than the first. They acknowledged the potential value in human innovation. They expressed cautious interest in cultural exchange, but they also reiterated concerns about human unpredictability, human expansion, human independence. They proposed a limited diplomatic mission. A Nexian envoy would come to the colony to observe humans directly, assess their claims, evaluate potential benefits and risks of alliance. The extraction team would be expected to return. With this envoy, Kate called the council immediately to discuss the proposal. Its progress, Zeralia explained to the assembled humans. The matriarchy rarely engages with other species directly. They prefer to observe from distance, make judgments without revealing themselves. The offer of direct diplomatic contact is significant, but they want their soldiers back. One council member pointed out, "Our leverage, we cannot keep them indefinitely," Zoralia reminded them. "The matriarchy knows exactly where they are. Their life signs are being monitored. If we refuse to release them, it will confirm their belief that humans are dangerous." Unpredictable. Kate agreed. "We need to show good faith. Keeping hostages contradicts everything we're trying to prove about human intentions." The council voted to accept the proposal with conditions. The diplomatic envoy would have limited security. The extraction team would be released only after preliminary agreements were reached. The negotiations would include representatives from other human colonies, not just New Hope. They sent their response, then began preparations. Kate coordinated with other colonial governments, selecting representatives who would best demonstrate human diversity and capability. Zoralia helped design appropriate accommodations for the Nexian visitors and briefed the humans on diplomatic protocols. 3 days later, they received confirmation. A diplomatic vessel would arrive in 5 days. The envoy would be Matriarch Solara herself, a member of the ruling council. Zoralia was stunned. "A high matriarch is coming here," she told Kate, her voice filled with awe. "This is unprecedented. They never leave Nexus Prime." The risk. Kate recognized the significance. "What does this mean?" "It means they are taking this seriously," Zoralia said. "Either as a threat or an opportunity, they consider this first contact critically important." The colony transformed facilities were prepared. Security protocols established, communication systems enhanced, all while maintaining the appearance of normal human society. The council wanted the Nexians to see authentic human life, not a performance. The night before the diplomatic vessel was due to arrive, Kate found Zoralia standing alone outside the colony perimeter, gazing up at the stars, thinking about home. "Zoralia?" Kate asked softly. Joining her, Zoralia considered the question. Nexus 4 had been her home for centuries, but home implied belonging, security, a place where one was understood. "I no longer have a home," she admitted. "After tomorrow, I will officially be named traitor. My identity expunged from Nexian records." Kate took her hand gently. "You have a home here, if you want it." Zoralia looked at the human woman in the moonlight. Her time among humans had changed. Her in Nexian society, individuals served, the collective personal connection was considered inefficient. Emotional attachment, a distraction. But she had discovered something different here, something that felt strangely right. The diplomatic vessel arrived precisely on schedule. It was larger than the extraction team's ship, elegant in design, a statement of Nexian cultural refinement. Kate and the Colonial Council gathered at the landing site. Zoralia stood slightly apart, uncertain of her place. In this historic moment, the ship opened, revealing 6 tall Nexian figures. The first 5 were clearly security elite guards in formal armor, their movements precise, synchronized. But it was the 6th figure that commanded attention. Matriarch Solara stood taller than the others, her blue skin deeper in tone. Her garments flowed like liquid silver, a symbol of her status. Her eyes swept over the assembled humans, assessing, measuring. Then her gaze found Zoralia, Science Observer 7329, she said, her voice carrying easily across the distance. "You have created quite a situation." The negotiations continued for 3 weeks. Each day brought new challenges, new revelations, new possibilities. Matriarch Solara was a formidable presence, her analytical mind quickly grasping the implications of human innovation. While she maintained Nexian reserve, her interest in human culture became increasingly evident. Kate led the human delegation with natural diplomacy, introducing the matriarch to various aspects of colonial life. The school where children of different ages learned together, the community center where colonists shared meals, stories, and celebrations, the research facilities where scientists worked on adapting Earth crops to alien soil. Zoralia served as cultural interpreter, explaining Nexian concepts to humans and human emotions to the Nexian delegation. Her unique position as both insider and outsider made her invaluable to the process. Though officially considered a traitor by her people, she noted that matriarch Solara still sought her input, still valued her. Perspective on the seventh day, the matriarch requested a neural interface not with Kate, but with several different humans. She wanted to experience their diversity directly, to understand the range of human thought and emotion. The council debated this request, some concerned about privacy, others about security. But Kate argued for acceptance. This is what we wanted, she reminded them. For them to truly understand us. This is how Nexians learn. Best 5 volunteers were selected representing different aspects of human society: a teacher, a scientist, a musician, an elder storyteller, a child whose parents gave careful permission. Each interface lasted only 15 minutes, but the cumulative effect on matriarch Solara was profound. I begin to understand, she told Kate afterward. Your species lacks our unity of purpose, our efficiency. But your diversity generates something we have lost. The child, especially. Her mind was remarkable. Chaotic, unstructured, but filled with possibilities I had not considered. Her questions, her imagination. They have no equivalent in our society. Kate nodded. Children are our greatest resource. Our future. They see the world differently because they haven't learned all our limitations, yet. The matriarch considered this. Your species embraces change, celebrates it. Ours has sought to eliminate it. We call it stability, perfection, but perhaps we have reached an evolutionary dead end. The negotiations shifted after this exchange from cautious evaluation to active collaboration. The matriarch shared more openly about Nexian challenges, their genetic stagnation, their cultural calcification, their diminishing population. The humans in turn offered specific proposals: technology exchange, scientific collaboration, cultural programs, designed to stimulate Nexian creativity while respecting their need for order. The extraction team was released as promised, their neural patterns showing subtle but significant changes after their time among humans. Their rigid certainty softened by exposure to different perspectives. Nalia, the elite guard leader, even requested permission to remain on New Hope as part of the diplomatic security detail. A request the matriarch granted with apparent amusement, as the formal agreements took shape. A different kind of connection deepened. Kate and Zoralia found themselves spending every free moment together. Their work brought them into constant contact, but they sought each other's company even when diplomacy didn't require it. They walked together in the evenings, exploring the colony surroundings. Kate teaching Zoralia about earth plants and animals. Zoralia sharing stories of the 17 worlds she had studied before coming to New Dakota. Their conversations ranged from philosophical discussions about the nature of consciousness to simple observations about daily life. Zoralia found herself experiencing emotions she had never allowed before. Joy at small discoveries, anticipation of their next meeting, a strange fluttering sensation. When Kate smiled at her, she recognized these responses from her research on human attachment, but experiencing them directly was entirely different. One night as they sat watching the twin moons rise, Kate asked her a question Zoralia had been avoiding. What will you do when the negotiations end? When the matriarch returns to Nexus Prime? Zoralia looked up at the stars, considering the question. My status remains unchanged. I am still considered a traitor to my people. Though the matriarch values my assistance, now I cannot return home. Kate turned to face her. This is your home now if you want it. The council has already approved permanent resident status for you. You've earned our trust many times over. Zoralia felt warmth spread through her chest at the words, I would like to stay. But my purpose here was to facilitate understanding between our peoples. Once that is accomplished, Kate took her hand gently. You don't need a purpose to stay. You can just live. Be yourself. Discover what you want, not what serves some greater function. The concept was alien to Nexian thinking. Existence without purpose was considered wasteful, yet Zoralia found the idea strangely appealing. The freedom to choose to explore, to simply be. I would like to learn more about human emotion, she said softly. About connection, Kate smiled. That might take a lifetime. Perhaps I have time to learn. Zeralia replied, returning the smile. On the final day of negotiations, a formal ceremony was arranged. The colonial center was decorated, with both human and Nexian symbols. The agreements were prepared for official signature cultural exchange programs, technological collaboration, research partnerships, territorial recognition. All the elements of a historic alliance between fundamentally different species. Before the ceremony, Kate found Zeralia preparing in her quarters. She had been provided with formal Nexian diplomatic attire, a concession from the matriarch, acknowledging her unique status. "You look beautiful," Kate said, entering, with a small box in her hands. Zeralia felt that now familiar warmth. "Thank you." The garments are traditional for diplomatic functions. They represent, Kate smiled. "I know what they represent. You explained Nexian formal wear last week, remember? But I thought something was missing." She opened the box, revealing a simple pendant, a small blue stone wrapped in silver wire. "Perhaps too human for your taste. But I thought." Zeralia touched the pendant, feeling unexpected emotion rise within her. "It is perfect," she whispered. "The stone, it's called turquoise on Earth," Kate explained. "It reminded me of your skin that first day in my garden when you appeared out of nowhere and changed everything." Zeralia allowed Kate to place the pendant around her neck. The weight of it unfamiliar but pleasing. A symbol of belonging not to the Nexian collective but to this place, these people. This woman. The ceremony proceeded with formal precision. Matriarch Solara signed the accords with graceful efficiency, her security detail standing at attention. The human representatives added their signatures each in turn, a new chapter beginning for both civilizations. Afterward, as the formal reception continued, Zeralia found herself approached by the matriarch herself. "Observer, 7329, Solara said using her former designation. "You have created significant change," Zeralia bowed respectfully. "I acted according to my findings." Matriarch Solara studied her with ancient eyes. "Perhaps that is what we have forgotten, to act on what we observe, rather than what we expect to observe. Your human, the one called Kate Mason. She has requested something unusual." Zeralia felt suddenly alert. "What has she requested?" The matriarch made a gesture of mild amusement. "She has asked permission to court you, formally. According to their customs, this requires approval from family elders. As you have none here. She approached me as the ranking elder of your species." Zeralia felt her hearts accelerate. "Court to pursue romantic attachment," Solara clarified, "an emotional pair bond." "I have studied their customs. It appears significant to them." Zeralia struggled to maintain Nexian composure. She knew of human courtship from her research but had never considered Kate. "My Kate wished this," formally, the matriarch tilted her head. "Our society eliminated such individual attachments centuries ago. We found them inefficient, distracting. Yet I have observed something in human connections, something we may have sacrificed unwisely. I have granted her request." Zeralia was speechless. "A condition rare for a Nexian scientist. You are no longer bound by our protocols." Observer. Solara continued. "You may pursue whatever path you choose with this human. I am curious to observe the results. The data may prove valuable to our understanding of potential adaptation." With that, the matriarch returned to the reception, leaving Zeralia trying to process this new development. Kate had formally requested permission to court her following human tradition. She had approached, the matriarch herself showing respect for Nexian culture, even while pursuing something entirely un-Nexian. Zeralia found Kate near the garden where they had first met. She stood watching the sunset, the light turning her skin to gold. "You spoke to?" the matriarch. Zeralia said. Joining her, Kate turned, a smile spreading across her face. "I did." "Was that inappropriate?" "I tried to follow what you told me about Nexian customs, respecting elders, seeking proper permission." Zeralia shook her head. "No, it was perfect, unexpected." "But perfect." Kate took her hand. her fingers warm against Zeralia's blue skin. On Earth, when someone wants to pursue a relationship, they make their intentions clear. They don't assume or presume I wanted to do this right, even if it's never been done before. A human and a Nexian, Zeralia felt something expand in her chest, something she now recognized as joy. I have studied human courtship rituals extensively as part of my research, but I find I require practical experience to truly understand.